Nestled between Zimbabwe and South Africa lies a tribe like no other, the Lemba. To outsiders, they appeared much like their neighbors, farming and singing traditional songs. But the Lemba held a secret. They believed they were descendants of ancient Israelites, keepers of a sacred heritage. This connection was rooted in stories passed through generations of their ancestors worshiping at Solomon's temple, guarding a revered artifact, the drum that thunders. As the years passed, the Lemba's legend captured the curiosity of scientists, historians, and the world. Could their ancient claims be true? Once upon a time, nestled between the lush landscapes of Zimbabwe and South Africa, lived the Lemba people, a proud, vibrant community with a mysterious and ancient heritage. To outsiders, they seemed no different from other African tribes. They farmed the land, sang traditional songs, and carried the deep wisdom of their ancestors. But there was something distinct about the Lemba, a secret passed down through generations. They believed they were descendants of ancient Israelites, bearers of a rich and sacred history. The legend began long, long ago, before the world was as it is now, in a distant land under a sun as fierce as the African one, but across the seas, in the ancient kingdom of Israel. Stories whispered from one generation to the next told of a time when the ancestors of the Lemba were said to have worshipped at Solomon's temple. They were priests, artisans, and scholars who had stood in the shadow of the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred chest containing the 10 Commandments given to Moses. As time passed, they were said to have wandered, crossing deserts and seas until they settled in the heart of Africa. Among the Lemba, these tales were more than legends, they were truth. To honor this heritage, the Lemba lived by unique customs that set them apart from other tribes in the region. They observed strict dietary laws, refusing to eat pork or certain other foods. They practiced ritual slaughter, with elders ensuring that their customs matched the teachings handed down to them. They observed a day of rest on Saturdays, praying together as their ancestors had done centuries before. And then there was the Ngoma Lungundu, the drum that thunders, a sacred artifact believed by the Lemba to be a vessel of immense power and history. The Ngoma Lungundu was said to be a replica of the Ark of the Covenant, the same holy ark that the ancient Israelites carried across the desert, the very ark that was rumored to carry divine powers, blessings, and protection. For centuries, the Lemba people guarded this precious artifact, treating it with utmost reverence. The Ngoma Lungundu was made from acacia wood and adorned with intricate carvings and markings. It was sacred, not only because of its historical significance, but because the Lemba believed it had protected their people through countless adversities. During times of danger or invasion, the Ngoma Lungundu was said to emit sounds, mysterious, powerful rumblings that echoed across the land like the voice of the divine, warning of danger. The elders claimed it could communicate with those who were worthy, those who could hear the whispers of the ancestors. Despite the skepticism of outsiders, these traditions were a lifeline to the Lemba, a way to hold on to a past that was both theirs and yet shared with others in a faraway land. And so these stories continued to be told around fires under starlit skies, binding one generation to the next, carrying the weight of an identity shaped by time and mystery. As the world moved into modernity, the Lemba's tales reached the ears of scientists, historians, and explorers. The scientific world, ever curious, saw an opportunity to test the legend. What if the Lemba's claims could be substantiated by science? What if the past they claimed was written not only in their memories but in their very blood? In the 1980s, a team of geneticists arrived in Zimbabwe, hoping to shed light on this ancient mystery. They conducted DNA tests on the Lemba, specifically targeting markers found in the priestly Kohanim lineage of the Jewish people. This marker, known as the Cohen modal haplotype, was a genetic signature carried by many Jewish men whose heritage traced back to the priestly class of ancient Israel. To the amazement of the scientific community, a significant number of Lemba men carried this exact marker. The findings were astonishing. They seemed to confirm the very identity the Lemba had carried for centuries, the very story they had safeguarded in their hearts. Scientists declared that the Lemba were indeed descendants of the ancient Israelites, their story intertwined with one of history's most ancient and enduring cultures. In the blink of an eye, what had once been lore was now scientific fact. The world listened as the tale of the Lemba people spread far and wide, fueling curiosity, debate, and admiration. News of this discovery brought visitors from around the world to the Lemba villages. Historians sought to learn their customs, while scholars recorded their songs and prayers. Documentaries were made, sharing the story of the Lemba and the Ngoma Lungundu with audiences across the globe. In many ways, the Lemba's history had become a gift not only to themselves, but to anyone who believed in the resilience of tradition and the endurance of faith. One evening, under the amber glow of a dying fire, Chief Jabulani, the wise and revered leader of the Lemba, gathered the children of the village for a story. His voice was deep and steady, carrying the weight of his years. The Ngoma Lungundu, he began, was not just an artifact. It is a bond, a memory. It is alive with the voices of those who have walked before us. Our ancestors brought it across deserts, over mountains, and through valleys, carrying it with hands that were blistered and feet that were worn, all for us. The children sat transfixed, their eyes wide with wonder. Chief Jabulani continued, "They say the Ngoma speaks to those who listen. It thunders when we are in need. It sings when we are blessed. We, the Lemba, are more than just a people. We are guardians of a legacy, keepers of a promise." The children listened, and though they did not fully understand, they felt the importance of his words. They could feel the past surrounding them like an unseen cloak, something powerful and precious. As the years went on, the Lemba's story continued to inspire. Many of the younger generations traveled to far-off lands, educating people about their heritage. They shared the significance of the Ngoma Lungundu and the beliefs that had sustained their ancestors for centuries. But no matter how far they traveled, each Lemba knew they were always connected by an invisible thread to the land of their forefathers, to the sacred drum, and to the stories that held their people together. One day, a curious traveler named Eli, a historian from Israel, arrived in the Lemba village. He had heard tales of the Ngoma Lungundu and was deeply moved by the possibility that a part of his own heritage had survived here in Africa. The village welcomed him, and he spent days learning, listening to the elders, and absorbing the stories. Eli was particularly interested in the Ngoma Lungundu. He asked Chief Jabulani if he could see it, to study it, perhaps even bring a team of experts to analyze its materials. But Chief Jabulani shook his head gently. "The Ngoma is not meant for the world to examine like a relic," he said. "It is a living part of our people. We respect the knowledge you seek, but there are some things too sacred for science to unravel." Eli understood, though he was saddened. The chief's words stayed with him. The Ngoma Lungundu was more than a historical artifact. It was a beating heart, a symbol of faith, a memory wrapped in wood and legend. It could not be unwrapped without losing its power. When Eli returned to his homeland, he shared the story of the Lemba with his community. His words traveled, stirring interest and reverence across Israel and beyond. Meanwhile, the Lemba people continued to live as they always had, holding on to their customs, preserving their songs, and passing down their knowledge from one generation to the next. And so, the story of the Lemba and the Ngoma Lungundu became more than just a tale. It became a testament. It spoke of the resilience of a people, of the endurance of faith, and of the sacred nature of memory. In their small corner of the world, the Lemba carried on, a humble yet extraordinary people who had not only preserved their past, but had become its living embodiment. For as long as the Ngoma Lungundu existed, so too would the Lemba. The thundering drum remained silent, resting peacefully in its place of honor, but every Lemba knew that should they ever need it, the Ngoma would sing once more, echoing the voices of their ancestors and reminding the world of the power of faith, identity, and resilience. And with every generation that came after, the legend only grew, as alive and sacred as the heartbeat of the people who kept it.